Our Earth, a vibrant tapestry of life, has for millennia evolved through natural upheavals. Yet, in recent history, a new force has emerged, capable of altering landscapes and ecosystems with breathtaking speed and devastating consequence: ourselves. Welcome to our channel. Today, we are counting down the top 10 environmental disasters that have left a lasting impact on our planet. These are not merely stories of destruction, but also of resilience, of lessons learned, and of the profound interconnectedness between human actions and the delicate balance of our world. We shall journey through events that have reshaped not only the physical environment, but also our understanding of our responsibilities as stewards of this remarkable planet. These narratives serve as solemn reminders of the power inherent in industrial progress and the potential for catastrophic missteps. From the invisible menace of radiation to the smothering blanket of oil and the choking clouds of pollution, each event offers a unique, albeit tragic, insight into the vulnerabilities of our ecosystems and the far-reaching effects of human error or neglect. It is crucial that we examine these events, not to dwell on despair, but to glean the wisdom necessary to forge a more sustainable and harmonious future with the natural world that sustains us all. As we embark on this often sobering exploration, we invite you to engage with this vital subject matter. The stories we're about to share are a testament to the fragility of our environment and the urgent need for awareness and action. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more eye-opening content. Your support allows us to continue bringing these important narratives to light, fostering a greater understanding of the challenges and triumphs in our ongoing relationship with the Earth. On the fateful night of April 26, 1986, in what was then Soviet Ukraine, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant became the crucible of an unimaginable catastrophe. A confluence of flawed reactor design and human error during a safety test triggered a sudden power surge, leading to a series of explosions. These blasts tore through the reactor core, ejecting a plume of radioactive isotopes high into the atmosphere, a lethal cloud that would drift across much of Europe. The immediate vicinity was, of course, the most grievously affected, with plant workers and firefighters displaying extraordinary courage, many unknowingly sacrificing their lives in a desperate attempt to contain a fire that burned for 10 long days, releasing unprecedented levels of radiation. The long-term consequences are a somber testament to the enduring power of nuclear contamination. The establishment of the vast exclusion zone, an area of over 1,000 square miles surrounding the plant, rendered towns like Pripyat ghostly monuments to a hurried evacuation and a life abruptly abandoned. This zone, while now paradoxically a haven for certain wildlife species in the absence of human activity, remains profoundly altered. The health impacts on human populations have been severe and widespread, with increased incidences of thyroid cancer and other radiation-induced illnesses casting a long shadow over generations. Chernobyl serves as a chilling reminder of the immense destructive potential harnessed within the atom and the profound responsibility that accompanies its use. The Gulf of Mexico, a vibrant marine ecosystem teeming with an extraordinary diversity of life, faced an unprecedented assault on April 20th, 2010. The Deepwater Horizon oil rig, operating miles off the coast of Louisiana, suffered a catastrophic blowout, leading to a ferocious explosion and fire that tragically claimed 11 lives. But the disaster was only just beginning to unfold. For nearly 3 arduous months, crude oil gushed uncontrollably from the wellhead on the seabed, nearly 5 kilometers below the surface. It was the largest accidental marine oil spill in the history of the petroleum industry, an unrelenting torrent that defied initial efforts to staunch its flow, creating a vast, slick and toxic stain upon the waters. The environmental impact was, and continues to be, profound. Millions of barrels of oil spread across thousands of square miles of ocean, devastating marine life from the smallest plankton to the majestic sperm whale. Coastal marshes, vital nurseries for countless species, were inundated with thick, black crude, their delicate ecosystems suffocated. The images of oil-soaked birds and dolphins became potent symbols of the disaster's reach. Though the well was eventually capped, the repercussions linger. The oil, broken down by dispersants, persists in the water column and seabed sediments, insidiously working its way through the food web, and the long-term effects on the Gulf's intricate ecological balance are still being meticulously studied and understood. In the heart of India, the city of Bhopal was shrouded in an unsuspecting slumber on the night of December 2nd, 1984. Unbeknownst to its sleeping citizens, a catastrophic event was unfolding at the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant. A leak of methyl isocyanate gas, a highly toxic chemical, began to escape from a storage tank, forming a dense, deadly cloud that silently drifted over the densely populated surrounding shanty towns. The immediate effects were horrific. Thousands perished in their sleep or as they fled in terror, their lungs seared by the poisonous fumes. Many more were left with debilitating injuries, blindness, and severe respiratory ailments from which they would never fully recover. The aftermath of the Bhopal gas tragedy has been a long and painful saga of suffering and environmental contamination. The site of the plant remains a toxic blight, with chemicals having leached into the soil and groundwater, affecting generations born long after that dreadful night. The disaster exposed grave failures in safety protocols and corporate accountability, sparking a global debate on the responsibilities of multinational corporations operating in developing nations. For the survivors and their families, the struggle for justice, adequate compensation, and proper medical care continues to this day. A stark reminder of an industrial disaster whose human cost is almost immeasurable and whose environmental scars continue to weep. Chapter 4: Fukushima Daiichi, Tsunami's Nuclear Fury. On March 11, 2011, the coast of Japan was struck by a colossal earthquake, one of the most powerful ever recorded, which in turn unleashed a devastating tsunami. Waves of unimaginable height and force surged inland, overwhelming coastal defenses and causing widespread destruction. Among the facilities critically impacted was the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The tsunami disabled the power supply and cooling systems for 3 of its reactors, leading to a catastrophic series of events: nuclear meltdowns, hydrogen explosions, and the release of significant amounts of radioactive material into the environment, marking the most severe nuclear accident since Chernobyl. The consequences of the Fukushima disaster were far-reaching, necessitating the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of residents from a wide exclusion zone. The contaminations spread not only across land but also into the Pacific Ocean, raising global concerns about the safety of seafood and the long-term ecological impact on marine ecosystems. The cleanup and decommissioning of the stricken plant is an immensely complex and costly undertaking, projected to take many decades. Fukushima forced a global re-evaluation of nuclear safety standards, particularly concerning the risks posed by natural disasters, and underscored the profound challenges of managing nuclear power in an unpredictable world, where the forces of nature can so dramatically intersect with human technology. populations and spill response preparedness. Chapter 6. The Great Smog of London, a City Choked. In December 1952, London, a city long accustomed to its characteristic fogs, experienced an environmental crisis of terrifying proportions. A period of cold weather combined with an anticyclone and windless conditions trapped airborne pollutants, primarily from the widespread burning of low-quality sulfurous coal for domestic heating and industrial processes close to the ground. This meteorological phenomenon created an exceptionally dense and persistent smog, a pea soup of unprecedented thickness and toxicity, which enveloped the capital for 5 suffocating days. Visibility dropped to mere feet, bringing transportation to a standstill and plunging the city into an eerie, disorienting gloom. The immediate health impact was catastrophic. The acrid smog, laden with sulfur dioxide, smoke particles and other noxious compounds, infiltrated homes and lungs alike. Hospitals were overwhelmed with patients suffering from acute respiratory distress, bronchitis and pneumonia. It is estimated that this single event led to the premature deaths of as many as 12,000 people, with many more suffering long-term health problems. The Great Smog of London was a brutal wake-up call, starkly demonstrating the lethal potential of unchecked air pollution. It became a pivotal moment, galvanizing public opinion and prompting landmark environmental legislation, such as the Clean Air Act of 1956, which aimed to control smoke pollution and improve air quality in urban areas across the United Kingdom. Once the 4th largest freshwater lake in the world, the Aral Sea, nestled in the arid plains of Central Asia, has become a stark symbol of ecological devastation wrought by human ambition. Beginning in the 1960s, the Soviet Union embarked on massive irrigation projects, diverting the waters of the Amu Darya and Syr Darya, the 2 great rivers that fed the Aral Sea, to transform vast tracts of desert into cotton and rice plantations. While the agricultural goals were initially met, the environmental cost was catastrophic and, for a long time, largely ignored. Deprived of its primary water sources, the sea began to shrink at an alarming rate. The consequences of this dramatic desiccation have been manifold and devastating. The once thriving fishing industry, which supported tens of thousands of people, collapsed entirely as salinity levels soared and the water receded miles from former coastal towns, leaving behind a ghostly fleet of stranded ships on a newly formed desert. This exposed seabed, laden with salt, pesticides and chemical residues from decades of agricultural runoff, became the source of toxic dust storms that swept across the region, poisoning the land and causing severe health problems for the local population. The shrinking of the Aral Sea also profoundly altered the regional climate, leading to hotter summers, colder winters, and a significant loss of biodiversity, a tragic lesson in how large-scale interference with natural water systems can unravel an entire ecosystem. Chapter 8. Love Canal, Toxic Secrets Beneath a Neighborhood. In the late 1970s, the unassuming suburban neighborhood of Love Canal in Niagara Falls, New York, became synonymous with the horrors of improperly disposed toxic waste. The area had been built upon a former landfill site where, decades earlier, a chemical company had buried over 20,000 tons of hazardous industrial byproducts. For years, the toxic legacy lay dormant, but persistent heavy rains eventually caused the chemicals to leach upwards, seeping into basements, gardens, and even the local schoolyard. Residents began to report strange odors, oozing sludge, and most alarmingly, a disturbing pattern of illnesses, including high rates of miscarriages, birth defects, and cancers. The discovery of this hidden chemical menace sparked outrage and fear, galvanizing the community, led primarily by determined local mothers, into a powerful grassroots environmental movement. Their relentless activism brought national attention to the plight of Love Canal, forcing state and federal authorities to acknowledge the crisis and eventually evacuate hundreds of families. The disaster was a landmark event highlighting the dangers of unregulated chemical dumping and the long-term health risks posed by toxic waste. It played a crucial role in the passage of the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation and Liability Act, commonly known as Superfund, a federal program designed to identify and clean up the nation's most hazardous waste sites, a direct response to the lessons learned from this suburban nightmare.
Chapter 9: 3 Mile Island, a Near Meltdown. On March 28, 1979, the 3 Mile Island nuclear generating station, situated on a river island in Pennsylvania, became the site of the most serious accident in the history of United States commercial nuclear power. A combination of equipment malfunctions, design deficiencies, and human error led to a partial meltdown of the core in Unit 2 of the reactor. While the containment building successfully prevented a large-scale release of radioactive materials into the environment, small amounts of radioactive gases did escape, causing widespread public alarm and confusion. The incident unfolded over several tense days, with conflicting information and uncertainty fueling public anxiety about the potential for a much larger catastrophe. Although the immediate health effects on the surrounding population were later determined to be negligible, the psychological impact and the crisis of confidence in nuclear power were profound. The 3 Mile Island accident fundamentally reshaped the nuclear industry in America and globally. It led to sweeping reforms in nuclear safety regulations, operator training, and emergency preparedness. It also significantly eroded public support for nuclear energy, contributing to a decades-long slowdown in the construction of new nuclear plants in the United States. The event underscored the complex interplay of technology and human fallibility in managing high-risk systems, and served as a stark reminder that even near misses can have far-reaching consequences for an entire industry and public perception. Chapter 10: The Dust Bowl, an American agricultural catastrophe. During the 1930s, the Great Plains of the United States were ravaged by a devastating environmental and agricultural disaster known as the Dust Bowl. A confluence of factors, including severe and prolonged drought, unusually high temperatures, and crucially decades of unsustainable farming practices, transformed once fertile prairies into a barren wasteland. Extensive ploughing of the native deep-rooted grasses, which had held the soil together and conserved moisture, left the topsoil exposed and vulnerable. When the rains failed and the winds picked up, the fine, dry soil was lifted into the air, creating colossal dust storms or black blizzards that blotted out the sun and swept across the plains and even as far as the east coast. These terrifying storms choked livestock, buried homes and farm equipment, and made life unbearable for the inhabitants of the region. The ecological devastation was matched by a profound human tragedy. Crops failed year after year, leading to widespread poverty and forcing hundreds of thousands of families, often referred to as okais, to abandon their farms and migrate westward in search of work and a new life, a desperate exodus famously chronicled in literature and photography. The Dust Bowl served as a harsh lesson in the importance of soil conservation and sustainable land management. It prompted significant government intervention, including the establishment of the Soil Conservation Service, to promote farming techniques designed to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again, forever changing the face of American agriculture. Outrow reflecting on ruin, recommitting to resilience. As our journey through these 10 shocking environmental disasters comes to a close, we are left with a profound sense of the fragility of our planet and the immense impact of human activity. Each event, from the silent creep of radiation to the choking dust of arid plains, tells a story of loss, but also importantly of lessons that can guide our future. These are not just historical footnotes, they are enduring reminders of the delicate balance we must strive to maintain with the natural world, a world that, for all its resilience, bears the scars of our miscalculations and our moments of neglect. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. The sheer scale of these catastrophes can indeed be overwhelming, yet within them lie crucial insights.
They have often spurred scientific innovation, policy reform, and a heightened public awareness of environmental issues. The courage of those who faced these disasters, the dedication of those who sought to understand and mitigate them, and the enduring spirit of communities striving to recover all speak to a human capacity for learning and adaptation. It is this capacity that we must nurture as we confront the environmental challenges of our own time, armed with the knowledge of what has transpired before. The responsibility for safeguarding our planet rests with each of us in the choices we make and the awareness we cultivate. Let us know in the comments which environmental disaster shocked you the most, and perhaps share your thoughts on how we can collectively work towards a more sustainable coexistence with our Earth. The dialogue is vital, for it is through shared understanding and concerted effort that we can hope to prevent such tragedies from recurring. Stay tuned for more videos on important environmental issues.